Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I will be talking you through my thoughts and ideas around developing diversity, equity, and inclusion training in for profit organizations. My name is Sinitra Hughes. I am the Associate Director of Diversity and Inclusion at the Sam Walton College of Business. I am a University of Arkansas alum. I graduated from the Sam Walton College of Business with a degree in computer information systems and a degree in transportation and logistics. I have an MBA with a concentration in human resource development and a doctorate of education in workforce development education with a concentration in human resources. I worked at the University of Arkansas for 5 years. Prior to that, I worked at the Walmart corporate office and the Sam's Club corporate office for a few years before transitioning to a few consumer packaged goods companies here in Northwest Arkansas. I am an adjunct professor in the management department at the Sam Walton College of Business, and I'm also instructed for Northwest Arkansas Community College in their retail certificate program. And I've also instructed at Colorado Tech University, the University of Phoenix, and I've done some consulting um, for various Walmart suppliers on using Walmart's Retail Link application to enhance their business with Walmart. I'm an avid volunteer throughout the Northwest Arkansas community, and I have a passion for learning and helping others reach their potential in order to walk in their purpose. I'm a firm believer in the notion that in 2014, I made what would be one of the biggest decisions in my career. I decided to walk away from my job in corporate America to pursue a career in higher education. My passion has been helping people for as long as I can remember. It's something that my great grandmother taught me in my upbringing, and it just felt like the right thing to do. So I applied for and accepted an offer to be the Director of Student Programs for the Center for Retailing Excellence over at the Walton College of Business. And in that role, I was responsible for all of the student engagement activities and programs that were implemented to connect our advisory board and different companies that supported the Center of Retailing Excellence with students that were employable here at the Samuel Walton College of Business. So that role was a very unique role in that there was nothing else, on this campus that um, looked like what I was doing. So it gave me an opportunity to set my own path and create some really awesome programs for the students. I did that for about 3 years, and then I transitioned to my current role as Associate Director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And in that role, I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with students of all ethnicities and backgrounds, and to be able to inform them and teach them about what it means to have a diverse perspective about the way that we view the world. Um, People contain their own capabilities for growth. Education and training are tools that facilitate that personal growth. So, training is one of the most pervasive methods for enhancing the growth and productivity of individuals. And in turn, those individuals enhance the growth and productivity of the organizations that they work for. The United States of today is more diverse than it's ever been before. We innately know this is from the changing world around us. The neighborhoods that we live in are more ethnically different. Our work teams include people from other generations and genders, and there are cultures that we had not been previously exposed to. Those cultures are bringing new experiences to what we eat, what we watch on television, and even impacting how we view the world. Millennials are now the largest generation in American history, and research shows that 44.2% of those millennials ethically classify themselves as something other than white. So, what we see is that the minority working age portion of the workforce is projected to continue to grow just as the world is becoming much more diverse. With more and more companies continuing to invest in diversity and inclusion training, the corporate landscape for those organizations that are getting it right shows that diversity and inclusion initiatives are business initiatives that must be managed in the same way that an organization manages any other business initiative. Those companies are the companies that have more diverse management teams, and those are the organizations that are experiencing 19% higher revenues than the companies that aren't. The companies that are racially and ethnically diverse are companies that are outperforming industry norms by 35% or more. With the increase in corporate spending on training, diversity, equity, and inclusion, there's a dangerous trend that's also happening in the world of diversity and inclusion training. People are learning what to say and what not to say without understanding the actual meaning behind their words. And this is causing a problem that economists have termed diversity fatigue. When diversity and inclusion training is done poorly, it can cause more harm to an organization than not doing the training at all. A large majority of the diversity training that exists today lacks a basic level of agreement and understanding around the key fundamental concepts. These are the basic concepts that build that foundation for an organization to be able to create awareness around diversity, equity, and inclusion and make their organization a truly inclusive workplace. I read an article that said the 12 of the most terrifying words in the English language are: I'm from human resources and I'm here to facilitate a diversity workshop. When training is one dimensional and rigid, or when it's focused on a specific group as opposed to being offered to all employees, it does cause more harm than benefit. Unfortunately, about 75% of those organizations with training programs fall into one of those categories. No two organizations no two organizations are alike, and as facilitators and curriculum designers in diversity, equity, and inclusion, we must spend the necessary time that it takes to understand the unique drivers of our clients' challenges and design a customized approach to help them reach and sustain high performance cultures. So that lets you know that there's not a one size fits all approach. Each organization is going to be different. So we have to go through the steps of assessing that organization's needs, having the dialogue with the individuals that we're working with in that organization to clearly identify what the objectives and goals are of the training, and making sure that the training is also aligned to initiatives of their organization. And then we take that information and we design customized training that is going to benefit that organization. We implement it, and the last step is doing the evaluation and assessing the effectiveness of the training that has been implemented. Research tells us what works is training that includes cognitive learning, behavioral or skills based learning, attitudinal, and affective learning. The combination of these three are what makes or breaks a training program. When trainees can acquire knowledge about cultural diversity issues, develop skills, and enhance their belief in their capacity to perform, that's when we know that our training programs, courses, or workshops are definitely effective for the organization that we're working with. The main goal of most diversity programs in an organizational setting is to create an inclusive workplace culture. This interactive program that I'm proposing integrates and lays the groundwork for fostering a truly inclusive workplace. This session would offer practical learning and tools around inclusive leadership, disrupting unconscious bias, intercultural essentials, and how to be an active ally and bystander. This would be an excellent opportunity for members of any organization to identify where they are in their journey towards inclusive excellence and to contribute to the organization's goal of being one of the best places to work. The training that I would like to implement establishes that baseline that we talked about before and a basic level of agreement and understanding of those fundamental concepts required to create an inclusive workplace culture. Rethinking diversity to advance inclusion can be effective for all levels of employees in any organization. However, I feel it is most critical for recent graduates across all majors in order to help them acclimate and contribute successfully in a truly diverse workforce. Most companies recognize that diversity and inclusion are closely linked. Inclusion helps to ensure that those employees from diverse backgrounds are able to contribute and remain with the company and flourish. The Rethinking Diversity to Advance Inclusion is definitely going to be beneficial for recent grads who have had little to no diversity, equity, and inclusion training. This training will be inclusive focused training that combines awareness and skills building components with a blended instruction method that includes lectures, videos, group interactions, and self reflection. This program is specifically designed to address diversity challenges that are experienced by minorities, provide practical tools for fostering inclusion, and it will enable trainees to have the impact that matches their intentions around fostering inclusive and intercultural workplaces. It is an ineffective method to teach trainees new behaviors if they are unaware of the impact of their current behaviors. So, the objectives of this training is to understand what diversity and its related terms mean, to understand the diversity awareness of each trainee, for each trainee to understand how changes in the world have affected their view, and to understand their own responsibility in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in their workplace. Rethinking diversity to advance inclusion will include topics such as diversity and identity, compassionate spaces for uncomfortable conversations, which tie back to our objectives of understanding what diversity and related terms mean and understanding our own diversity awareness. The next two topics are power and privilege and confronting unconscious bias. These two topics tie back to how changes in the world have affected us and our view. In the last session, what it means to be an ally and an active bystander ties back to our objective of understanding your responsibility in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. And the day wraps up with a group reflection and self reflection session to talk about concepts that we've covered throughout the day and to create an action plan for moving forward and truly thriving in a truly diverse workforce. Assessment and evaluation of the Rethinking Diversity to Advance Inclusion program will include pre and post training surveys. The pre training assessment will be administered to trainees 1 week prior to their training date, with the post training assessment being administered at 3 days for the training satisfaction piece of it and 30 days after the training concludes for the knowledge and expected workplace outcomes piece of it. The pre and post training assessments will feed into a diversity, equity, and inclusion dashboard where we will track inclusion and engagement activities being ongoing post surveys for the employees that are choosing to participate in any training from the Ideals Institute at the University of Arkansas. The executive director of the Ideals Institute will have access, as well as the senior, junior, and associate trainers of the Ideals Institute, and access will also be given to this dashboard to the respective individuals that are identified as needing access from the organizations where the training is being administered. The dashboard will be in an online format. It will require a username and password in order to be able to access the charts and the data and the analysis that is being provided regarding the trainings that the Ideals Institute is employing with these organizations. Thank you for your time today, and I welcome any feedback and questions that you might have about the Rethinking Diversity to Advance Inclusion training program.